Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the syllabus of the subject Fundamentals of Business Laws and Tax Laws. My dear students, I would like to make you known the contents of the syllabus prescribed by Shivaji University. Friends, basically this subject is called or is known by the name business laws or mercantile laws. So friends, what is meant by business and what is meant by law, this is our concern. First of all, for that we have to study what is meant by law and what is meant by business. As you know all, business means any concern, any vocation, any profession, so any commercial activity which has been set forth for the purpose of gaining some benefits. So this is called a business, whether it consists of vocation, a profession, or any service providing industry. So any commercial activity is the main important feature of any kind of a business. Thereafter, we come to another word, what is meant by law. As you know all, law is abide by everyone. Law is a rule, can be said, or a regulation, some would like to say. Some will say it is a code of conduct. Some will say these are the morals which has been reflected into the laws. So what is meant by law? This is a question before all of us. What is the meaning of rule? What is the meaning of regulation? So these are rules, whether it is rules, whether these are regulations, are nothing but laws. But for the purpose of codification, for the purpose of coming into existence, any law of the land, it has to be sanctioned by certain authority. That authority must be sovereign in the nature. Now you must be confused with the word sovereign. What is meaning? What is the meaning of sovereign? Sovereign means independentness. The country, the nation which must be independent, which must not be dependent upon another country. Like when we were the colony of British reign, that time or in this time we were not making laws. In fact, the laws were being made for us by the British people. The laws were being passed in the British Parliament and these were imposed upon all of us. That is why law is very important. Even one fact is that even British has left India, the laws they had made still prevalent in India. For example, Indian Contract Act that was passed in the year 1872, before pre-independence era, before India getting its freedom, still this act has been in prevalence, has been in existence. We are using that, we are utilizing that, we are implementing that, and this is the subject we have to study. Let's discuss what are the topics covered under the business law, or let's discuss what are the syllabus that has been prescribed by Shivaji University to all of you, my friends. First unit is about the concept of business law. What is meant by business? What is meant by law? There are some definitions given by legal scientists. There are sources of laws, branches of laws. This is what we have to study in the first unit of the syllabus. Thereafter, second unit is about Sale of Goods Act and Indian Contract Act. So second unit is relating to Indian Contract Act, wherein we have to study what is meant by contract, what is an offer, what is an acceptance, what is an agreement, what is the capacity of the parties, who can make a contract, what is the discharge of the liability from the performance of the contract. This is what we have to study, we have to discuss in the Indian Contract Act. Thereafter, third unit is about Sale of Goods Act. As you know, there are various types of goods in the market. These are sold every day by the seller to the buyer. This is what is the relation between the buyer and seller. What is the contractual relation between the buyer and seller? What are the obligations amongst or upon them, both of the parties? This is what we have to study. What are the conditions? What are the implied conditions? What are the warranties? And what are the implied warranties? And what are the rights and duties of the seller? That is what we have to study in this Act of Sale of Goods Act. Thereafter, we come to fourth unit, that is relating to the taxation law. What are the sources of the government revenues? What are the taxation types of or classification of taxation we have to study in this topic or in this unit. My dear students, you might have got an idea about the business law and its contents or its the subject. So this is the fundamentals of the business and tax laws. This is the subject and that is what we have to study. Let us discuss the first topic, first unit today, that is concept of business law. What is meant by business? What is meant by law? My dear students, you all know that a man lives in a society, a man lives in a community, and therefore he needs students, as I told you just that a man lives in a society, and that is why he comes into contact with various category of persons or people. So he comes into contact with the government as a taxpayer, he comes into contact with a landlord as a tenant, he comes into contact as a customer or a seller to the buyer. So in various aspects, in various positions, a man comes into contact with everyone. For example, you go by a bus and impliedly you enter a bus doors, then this is a contract between you and a company, bus company. When you buy a milk, when you buy anything from the seller in the open market, or you buy a paper, a newspaper, then it is a contract. It has to be renewed by you, yourself, or it has to be renewed you and between that seller. That is why this is called a continuous contract, an implied contract. My friends, so this type of a contract, this type of an agreement needs some rules, needs some duties, needs some obligations to be followed. Because there are certain conditions created by you all or between yourself or amongst yourself, the persons who are making a contract. They should follow certain rules, they should follow certain conditions, they should follow certain formalities. That is why this formality, these rules, these conditions should be formulated in that contract. That is why, my friends, contract needs all the formalities, all the conditions and the rules or the laws governing those contracts. And that is why the rules or set of body or principles which has been governed for the contractual relations has been prescribed in the Indian Contract Act. So you can decide, you can say that Indian Contract Act is the rule, is the body of rules, is the body of principles, is the code of conduct, or a law relating to the contracts and contractual relations subsisting between the parties. My dear students, let's discuss what is meant by rules. Rules or laws or regulations has a varied connotation. It has a deep sense of meaning. So we can say regulating human external actions can be called law, because law cannot regulate the human internal actions. Whatever is going on in the mind of the students cannot be regulated, cannot be governed by any law. But if any overt act of a student, if any overt act of a person can be regulated by the laws. For example, you are listening to my lecture, it means that the university or the college rules made by or being made by these are the students, and you are following that. So you are sitting quietly and listening my lecture, it means you are following, you are observing certain code of conduct prescribed by this college or education system. So this is what I have to convey to you all, my friends. The word law has a different connotations for different people. A citizen may think of law as a set of rules which has been prescribed for themselves. A lawyer who practices a legal profession, for him a law is a profession. He can get his bread and butter from that profession. For a legislator, law may be something that has been created by themselves. For that, first of all, we have to discuss what is the process of law, what is the process of creation of law in India as far as India is concerned. You know, Parliament, so laws are passed in the Parliament. The recent act in the year 2017 was passed, the GST Act. So that was passed in the Indian Parliament. So laws are passed in the Indian Parliament, where the Parliament is the body of the person who has been elected as an MP from the various parts of the country. In the same way, in the same manner, there is a state like Maharashtra. In Maharashtra also, there is a legislature, Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad, wherein laws are passed. And the Vidhan Parishad or Vidhan Sabha is the body of persons who has been elected as an ML, Amdar. So these are the persons who collect there, who gather there for codification of law and discussing the various policy matters about the state or about the country as far as the matter is concerned. So friends, law, we can say, has a different connotations for different person. A layman would say law is the governing principle for themselves. As I told you, a judge would say that law is something upon that he has to make decisions. He has to give or prescribe some guiding principles to all the human beings of the country. So law has a various connotations, various meaning. So we'll have to discuss here some definitions of law. Some definitions which have been given by the legal jurisprudence scientists, which we have to discuss now. Friends, first definition has been given by Mr. Holland. Holland was a legal scientist, we can say. He was a jurisprudence scientist. He has a deep study of the jurisprudence. Jurisprudence means the study of the legal principles, the study of the laws of the globe. So my friends, Mr. Holland say law is a rule of external human actions enforced by the sovereign political authority. Now this definition, if we have to divide it, then we'll have to go first of all, what is the human external action? As I already given you what is meant by rule, what is meant by law. Now we'll have to see what is the human external action. Now you are listening to my lecture, it means what does it mean? Whether it is an internal act or whether it is an external act. I am teaching you all, my friends, it means I am externally behaving myself. I am externally expressing myself. In the same sense, when you are with the 5 senses of yourself, you listen, you do any act, you hear, you commit anything, this is called overt act. Your human action, your bodily actions, and your internal actions means whatever you are thinking. I make a difference between the internal actions and human actions. For example, suppose my friends, one of you is now thinking to commit a crime of murder of any person or X person. Suppose there is a person, he is thinking to commit a murder of B. This is an external action or internal action? Yes, sure, it is an internal action, my friends. It is not an external action because he has not committed anything. He has not gone forward to commit a crime. He only thinking in his mind. So it is his internal action. So according to this Mr. Holland, he says only external actions of the human being are to be governed, are to be enforced by the sovereign political state. Now let's come to the three words, very important. These are sovereign political state. Means what? Sovereign political state means India. Sovereign political state means Australia. Any country on the earth which has been sovereign, which has been independent, which has been freed itself. It can take its decisions itself. No other country is binding force or has binding force or it has imposing forceful command over this country. For example, India can be said as an independent country. Tibet cannot be said because though Tibet there is some persons, Tibetans who are fighting for its freedom, but it is in the dominion of Republic of China. That is why we can say that it is not a sovereign political state. Political state means राजकीय दृष्टिकोनातून जे स्वतंत्र सावरेन असे स्टेट असा जो देश आहे तो देश म्हणजे सावरेन पॉलिटिकल स्टेट आणि असाच देश फक्त इंडिपेंडंट असू शकतो आणि इंडिपेंडंट डिसिजन्स घेऊ शकतो मग ते स्वतःच्या बॉर्डर्सच्या संदर्भात असू दे किंवा स्वतःच्या इंटरनल किंवा दुसऱ्या राष्ट्राच्या संबंधित धोरणासंबंधात असू दे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, सपोज इफ देयर इज अ बर्डन imposed upon the India by United States of America or any country, other country, to concentrate or to keep a cordial relations with the Pakistan relating to its border dispute, then my friends, it cannot be said that we are independent. We are independent because we take our own decisions regarding our border security, regarding our security of the country, whatever it may be, internal or external. That is why the rules must be made, the laws must be passed by the sovereign public authority, a sovereign political state. Suppose the Tibetans who are residing in India, nowadays they have sought recourse in India. You know that many of the Tibetans have been spread across the country. They are doing their business because they have flown from their country. They are residing in our country. They are refugees. This is the proper word, refugee. So they have a refugee status. So they cannot make laws for themselves, Tibetans. They cannot form a government of Tibetans. This is an example, my friend, a finest example of the refugee and the sovereign political state. Now, I would like to ask a question to all of you. Which is a sovereign political state, India or Tibet? You can say answer is India is a political sovereign state. So the laws must be made by the political sovereign state. Otherwise, there was no one to follow it. So friends, law is the rule of external human actions enforced by the sovereign political authority is the definition, finest definition of the time given by Mr. Holland. So law is the rule of relating to actions of human beings. And the actions of the laws must be passed by the sovereign political state, and that law must be enforced by the state of the government. Second definition, my friends, I would like to give by Mr. Salman, who says law is the body of principles recognized and applied by the state in the administration of justice. So law is a body of principles that must be recognized by the state first of all, and thereafter that must be applied in the administration of justice. What is meant by justice, my friend? For example, if there is a crime happens, if there is something happens which is perilous, which is dangerous to the society, to the human being, then that person must be punished. So in the administration of the justice, laws must be used, laws must be applied, laws must be utilized. This is the sense, this is the meaning of this statement. My friends, I would like to give you in a very short that what is the object of law. I think you might have got the basic concept and the meaning of law and meaning of business. Now let's discuss what are the objectives of the law. You know, my friends, one of the most important object of the law we can derive from these definitions to regulate human external actions or human external behavior or human relations. This is one of the best, one of the very important objectives of the law. Second objective of the law is to maintain law and order and enable a peaceful existence of the people for the purpose of welfare of the state. Third is to play a significant role in the task of achieving the various socio-economic goals that has been prescribed by our country. What are the, if I ask you, what are the socio-economic goals prescribed by our country? What would you say, my friends? You would say definitely to achieve an elevation of the poverty, to achieve a well-constructed roads, to achieve a good and a better GDP rate, to achieve a sound conditions of the bank, to achieve a socio-economic growth, to achieve the status of the farmer, and eradication of the caste system, eradication of the social class order, hierarchy that has been made by our customs or customary practices. This is the objective before India, whether it is a social or whether it is a law. So that is what this, if we want to seek these objectives, that has been already sought in the objectives as an objectives of the law. To make human associations possible and conducive to the welfare of the state. This is the one of the most important and last objective of the law. Students, today I would like to stop here. I think that you might have got the concept of business laws, definition of business, definition of law, and I think it is enough for this session. If you have any doubt or query, then you can mail me or you can send a message on my WhatsApp number. Thank you very much.